Welcome to week 3 of our Love Begins With You series. Today we're going to be chatting about breaking through barriers. Those may be past barriers, present ones, or even barriers that you're going to experience in the future and how you handle those. You may be asking, how does this go in line with our self-love series? I can guarantee you the number one person that's placing barriers in your life is yourself. And the more clearly you can see that, come to terms with it and learn to deal with your barriers, the more you will be set free into the present where you can actually experience your reality in a positive way and find yourself in a place where you can really move towards true self-worth, true value, and loving yourself so intentionally. So I want you to think about a time when you were really little. I want you to go back as far as you can to when you were a toddler. So I'm thinking about tiny little Jax, and tiny little Jax was a really little happy person. I was consistently happy. I sang to myself. I got up in the morning. I bounced around. I had an absolute zest for life. And I can tell you, when I wasn't happy, you certainly knew about it. My lip was on the floor. I would cry, I would scream, I would have a little temper tantrum, and some family member would come around me, console me, and they would somehow diagnose what in the world was causing this much trauma. So me as a little one, I was exceptionally good at communicating what was going wrong at any one point and communicating when I was really, really happy. I was also really good at loving myself. There wasn't one morning where I got up and I looked in the mirror and I was like, I really don't know what to wear today. Nope, none of that. I would get out my brightest princess dress, I would wear that and I would rock it. I was absolutely in awe of the world itself, myself being in the world, and I was completely happy with where I was. If there was any barrier in my life, I saw it as a complete challenge. The tricycle, the ultimate challenge. I will defeat this thing by learning how to cycle on the tricycle, which then migrated to the bicycle, where I fell off a few times, but never stopped. After a couple of grazed knees, I continued. Same is true with climbing trees. I had favorite trees that I had to learn how to climb, and then discovered that I was actually quite fearful of heights and I couldn't get down most of the time. Same is true when we went to the ocean and I realized if I caught the wrong wave, the wave was twice as strong dunking me in the face than it was going in. I saw a little challenge with the tooth fairy as well, that experiencing a tiny bit of pain right now would mean that I'd get something small from the tooth fairy tomorrow morning. So I experienced that barriers were actually challenges. You think of a toddler who's learning to walk. They whack their head into the corners of coffee tables how many times a day? They get up and fall flat on their face or backwards how many times a day? Not once does a toddler get up and think, not today. I'm not going to learn to walk today because, it's just not so great. It's not on my to-do list. All of us have had the ambition to keep trying. So where is that little girl? Where is that little toddler? Still here. Still inside you, except life has happened. Things go wrong. Suddenly that little toddler has someone speaking into their life. You can't do that. I can't believe you did that. What? You said that? You dreamt of flying. No, you should never fly. It's terrifying. You should drive a bus instead. What? Sorry, you wanted to be a vet? No. You should definitely think of becoming an accountant because they make much more money. Suddenly your dreams become very, very much smaller. Then you grow up a little bit and you buy your first car and it's really exciting and then you crash it. Then someone you love passes away and then you go through hurt and you go through pain and you go through anger and you end up boxing it up inside and it eats away at you because you feel like you can't voice it like that little toddler once did. Suddenly fear becomes very, very real in your life. Fear of the unknown, fear of voicing your emotions and your opinions, fear of success, fear of failure. Suddenly fear has become something that defines you. Suddenly the barriers that you once saw as challenges are now roadblocks that mirror the way you see yourself. You don't have to be defined by the labels that have been pressed on you by your family and your friends and possibly even yourself. You have the opportunity today to turn around and face the things that have been haunting you, to turn around and push up against your barriers and say, I'm willing to go through a little bit of pain and a little bit of hurt to get to the other side of this barrier so I can set myself free, because that is the number one person that can do it. I can't do it for you, but you can certainly do it yourself. I was watching this video of this child learning to punch through a wooden plank, and he was standing there and he was punching, and as he was punching and it was beginning to hurt, he'd retreat. And he did that a few times, little jabs, and eventually his coach came over and said, what are you doing? You're not following through. You're not pushing through. He said, why are you doing that? And the little child said, well, when I come up against the board, it's really sore. It really hurts. So I don't want to push through. And he said, what you have to do, the coach said, when you come up against the board, you have to acknowledge that it's going to hurt. You have to acknowledge that there's going to be pain and then push through it because your freedom is sitting on the other side. So the kid summoned up all his courage. He stood back and he pushed everything through that board. And he split the board and his freedom was on the other side. So I want to ask you today, what is your barrier? What is your plank? What is the thing that is standing up against you like a wall? That is scaring you, that you're like, Jax, I actually can't face that thing. It's too much pain. It's too much hurt. I actually don't want to feel right now. I'm too scared to push through that. But I know it's the one thing that I need to do to get to the other side, to achieve true self-freedom, to achieve a place where you feel free of the past and where you feel truly in the present. And I know for me, I spent most of my late teens and my early 20s running away from pain, running away from hurt. I thought that the more busy my day was, the more I had on my plate, the more work I had to do, the less I had to deal with myself. I became absolutely bound to my workday. The more I could do in my workday, the more I could put on my plate, the better, because it meant I could feel less. I ended up creating so much noise in my world with work and things I had to do and places I had to go and people I had to see, that I ended up silencing myself. People would often say to me, Jax, I really feel like we need to talk. No, I can't talk to you because I'm really busy. I was very good at distancing myself from myself as well as distancing myself from people. And that was because I was going through something that created a lot of emotion, but actually I didn't want to deal with that. It was too painful. It was too hurtful. I didn't want to push into that and go, okay, well, why are you hurting? Where is the pain? Instead of doing that, I just retreated. I became a workaholic. I was like, I don't want to deal with that barrier, so I'm going to become a workaholic. I didn't go up against, okay, why are you feeling? Why is it hurting? What can we release in order for you to find your freedom? How do we get to that point? You need to find the source of your action. So for example, like me, I became a workaholic. Maybe for you, why are you procrastinating? Why are you working so hard? Why are you on the run? Why are you retreating? Also, finding the source of your emotions. So why is there guilt? Why is there shame? Why is there anger? Why is there pain? If you can get to the source of your action and the source of your emotion, you're going to define what the barrier is. Once you know what the barrier is, you can come up against it, you can deal with it, and you can move to the freedom on the other side. You may be asking, Jax, that's perfect. You understand what your barrier is, but I don't. How do I get to a place where I know what my barrier is? We're going to jump back to what life as a toddler is like, and we're going to look at the question, why? Toddlers ask why all the time, and we're going to use that. So when you're having a struggle defining the source of a problem, you can ask yourself why 5 times, and it should help you narrow it down to the source of the problem. So I'm going to give you an example right now. Why are you running, Jax? Well, I'm running because I have so much work to do. Why do you have so much work to do? Because I like being busy. Why do you like being busy? Because it's better than sitting at home and twiddling my thumbs. Why is twiddling your thumbs so bad? Well, because then I think too much. Why is thinking too much not a good thing? Well, because then I feel. So you can see the start of my investigation was, why am I so busy? Why am I running all the time? The end came to a source of feeling. That is my barrier. That is something that I have to move through. And as described to you, I became a workaholic because I didn't want to deal with the emotion. I didn't want to deal with the pain and the hurt. If you can discover the source of why you're hurting, why you're in pain, you can remove that barrier and move to your freedom on the other side. What would our life look like if we took hold of the principles of that tiny little toddler? What if we learned to voice our opinions and the way we felt, not with screams and tantrums, but with conversations, and being able to deduce, what am I actually feeling and how can I best communicate that? What if we built up tenacity, that we would be able to take a little knock, that we would take a fall, graze a knee, be able to get back on the bike again and try again? What if we were able to see barriers as challenges instead of roadblocks that define who we are? By us having the ability to express ourselves as best we can, we release the past. We're no longer haunted by the future. We're very much in the present. We are speaking about how we feel in the current moment. If we can get to that point where we see our lives truly as it is, then we'll be able to dress up in that tiny little princess dress. We'll be able to stand in front of the mirror and we will be able to love openly and honestly, not because of what we're wearing, not because of what we've done or what we're doing or what we're going to do, but because of who we are. And that is where true self-love starts. When you can look at yourself and truly love yourself for who you are, not all the things you're going to do or become or have or succeed to or build up, just because of who you are. Because the barriers have been released, you've pushed past and you've found your freedom. So this week, I'd like you to ask yourself why 5 times. I'd like you to dive into what are my barriers and how can I push through them. I'd like you to be honest with yourself about how can I communicate better what I'm feeling inside. And if you want to dive in deeper, you're welcome to comment below, get connected, and you can be part of my one-on-one program where you get coaching on a one-on-one basis every week. If that's not for you, you can catch me here every Friday where we're going to be diving into the principles of true self-love. Have a great week and go and question your why.